In this video, I'm exposing 40 sports drinks that are actually worse than soda and the 10 clean, safe options you should drink instead. Number 40. Gatorade. Gatorade has convinced the entire world that it's the definition of hydration, the drink you have to grab after anything remotely resembling exercise. But the truth behind that famous neon bottle is a lot less athletic. A standard Gatorade can pack 34 to 36 grams of sugar, which is almost identical to a whole can of soda. And that sweetness isn't the natural kind. It's powered by refined sugars and bright artificial dyes like Yellow 5 and Blue 1, the same dyes many parents try to avoid in their kids' snacks. Sports nutrition research from the American College of Sports Medicine makes it painfully clear. Drinks like Gatorade are only beneficial during long, strenuous workouts, not casual sipping at school, the office, or while watching Netflix. When you drink it without burning massive calories, your body can't use the sugar, so it stores it. And because the label screams electrolytes, people think it's healthy, so they drink more of it than they would soda. Number 39. Powerade. Powerade comes in bold colors and aggressive branding, selling a fantasy of power, performance, and elite athletic energy. But flip that bottle around and you'll see a formula built almost exactly like the sugar drinks we've been warned to avoid. Many Powerade flavors rely on high fructose corn syrup, one of the quickest ways to spike blood sugar and overwhelm the liver, something the American Heart Association has repeatedly flagged as a primary dietary concern. Add artificial dyes, artificial flavors, and a surprising sodium punch, and you end up with a drink that's far closer to caffeinated fruit candy than hydration. The real problem? Powerade pretends to be healthy. People drink it casually, even when they haven't exercised at all. Without sweat loss or intense effort, the sugar and sodium have nowhere to go, causing water retention, rapid energy crashes, and metabolic stress. Soda never lied about what it is. Powerade hides behind athletic marketing. Number 38. Body Armor. Body Armor markets itself as the cleaner, more natural, coconut water-powered alternative to mainstream sports drinks, but the numbers tell a very different story. Many Body Armor bottles contain 28 to 32 grams of sugar, plus multiple fruit concentrates that behave just like syrup in the bloodstream. Add unusually high potassium levels, sometimes double what the average person needs, and you get a drink that can easily throw off hydration balance for people who aren't exercising intensely. Exercise physiology findings show that fructose-heavy beverages slow digestion, cause bloating, and reduce workout performance by delaying gastric emptying. That's the opposite of what an athlete wants. And because Body Armor looks cleaner and more premium than Gatorade or Powerade, people drink it thinking they're making a healthier choice, even though the sugar content is frequently on par with tropical soda. The branding is clever, the colors look fresh, the bottle feels modern, but the formula inside is still a sugar overload wrapped in wellness marketing. Number 37. Vitamin Water. Vitamin water doesn't scream sports drink at first glance. It looks more like something you'd sip in a yoga class or while scrolling your phone. But that clean, modern label hides something surprisingly old school. A drink built like flavored sugar water with a multivitamin tossed in. Many bottles carry nearly 1/3 of your day's sugar limit, and most flavors rely on refined sweeteners that behave almost exactly like soda in the bloodstream. The tricky part is the vitamins themselves. Nutrition experts have long pointed out that when vitamins are mixed with high sugar, your body prioritizes processing the sugar first, not absorbing the nutrients, which means most of the benefit passes right through you. Yet people drink vitamin water like a lifestyle accessory, in cars, at work, between meals. For a drink this sugary, that habit is the real danger. Instead of hydrating, it nudges your insulin higher, encourages midday crashes, and behaves more like a dessert dressed up in gym clothes. Vitamin water isn't wellness. It's flavored optimism with a sugar engine underneath. Number 36. Propel. Propel advertises itself as the cleaner sports drink. Light, crisp, and refreshing. The kind of bottle you imagine next to running shoes or a treadmill. But when you study it closely, the issue isn't what's inside, it's what's missing. Propel has almost no real electrolyte support for anyone doing meaningful exercise. What it does have are artificial sweeteners and lab-made flavor compounds that give the illusion of energy without providing any. Hydration researchers note that many zero-calorie sweeteners trigger a strange effect. They activate taste receptors that expect calories, and when the calories never arrive, the body responds with appetite shifts, bloating, or mild nausea in sensitive people. That's why some athletes complain that Propel sits weird during workouts. And because the drink is positioned as fitness-friendly, people often replace water with it even when their body just needs plain hydration, not a chemical imitation of flavor. Number 35. Lucozade. Lucozade has a very different identity from US sports drinks. It's often treated like a pick-me-up, something you drink when you're worn down, sick, or trying to get through a long day. But that emotional marketing hides an intense sugar payload, often more than in mainstream colas. The sweetness comes from rapidly absorbed glucose syrups, which are designed to hit your bloodstream instantly, the same way medical glucose gels do. For athletes in explosive events, that rush can sometimes help. But for everyday people drinking it at work or while recovering from fatigue, the effect is rough. A fast spike, a faster crash, and a dehydration pull as your body tries to stabilize your blood sugar. Add synthetic colors, acidity regulators, and aggressive carbonation in some versions, and you get a drink that's less gentle boost and more energy whiplash. Most people don't realize this because Lucozade is sold like a comfort drink, in the last category where high sugar belongs. Number 34. Prime. Prime exploded on social media with bright bottles, influencer hype, and the promise of clean hydration. But underneath all that flash, the drink behaves nothing like a balanced sports beverage. The biggest issue is the extreme levels of caffeine in the energy versions and the unusually high sweetness in the hydration versions. The drink uses intense sugar substitutes and concentrated flavorings that create a candy-like profile your body isn't designed to process during physical strain. Sports dietitians warn that caffeine without proper carb-electrolyte ratios can tighten blood vessels, making muscles feel more fatigued, not less. And, for younger drinkers, Prime's biggest audience, the stimulant load is far beyond what their bodies safely handle. Even the hydration line, which appears caffeine-free, contains sweetness so intense that it can overwhelm taste receptors and make plain water feel bland, pushing kids and teens to drink less actual water. It's hydration engineered for taste buds, not physiology. Prime looks like a modern sports drink, but it behaves like a viral candy experiment in a bottle. Number 33. Squincher. Squincher isn't flashy like Prime. It's marketed for industrial workers, factories, and job sites. But that niche identity hides a formulation built on heavy sugar loads and intense sodium levels designed for people sweating nonstop in high-heat environments. The problem? Most consumers who buy it are not working 12-hour outdoor shifts. When a regular person drinks Squincher, the sodium-sugar combo can actually pull water out of the body, especially if they aren't losing massive amounts of electrolytes to begin with. Occupational health researchers note that many work hydration drinks create a rebound thirst effect. They make you feel thirsty again minutes later, so you keep drinking more, unintentionally loading the body with additives. And the flavor concentrates used in Squincher's powders are known for their extreme artificial taste, which comes from a mix of dyes, stabilizers, and synthetic flavor bases built for durability, not wellness. It's a drink engineered for extreme labor, not everyday hydration. Number 32. All Sport. All Sport was created as a cheaper rival to Gatorade, and that budget mindset shows in the formula. Instead of using refined carbohydrate blends or balanced electrolytes, All Sport leans heavily on artificial colors, HFCS in some versions, and overly sharp acidity to keep the drink shelf-stable and refreshing. That acidity is the hidden problem. Dentistry groups have found that acidic sports drinks soften tooth enamel even faster than soda, and All Sport often tests on the lower, more acidic end of the range. Add in cheap sweeteners that produce a sticky aftertaste and a sodium profile that doesn't match athletic needs, and the drink becomes a mismatch for both athletes and casual drinkers. Even hydration comparison studies show All Sport performing closer to flavored sodas than authentic performance beverages. It was designed to undercut the price of big brands, not to outperform them. Number 31. 4C Sport. 4C Sport looks harmless, the kind of powder you mix into a water bottle before heading to the gym or the office. It doesn't have the neon glare of mainstream sports drinks, and that's precisely why people underestimate it. The issue lies in its powdered concentrate format, where ingredients like artificial flavors, synthetic dyes, and high-acidity stabilizers are intensified before dilution. In small amounts, these additives might not seem alarming, but once mixed, The final drink often ends up with a harsher acidity and sharper sweetness profile than ready-made sports beverages. Nutrition specialists note that powdered drink mixes can deliver more aggressive acid erosion because the citric acid to water ratio varies depending on how someone mixes it. Too much powder, and you're essentially drinking a homemade acidic syrup that softens enamel and irritates the stomach. The electrolyte profile is also fundamental, mainly sodium, offering minimal benefit for real athletes. For casual drinkers, it's just flavored acid with a trace of salt. Number 30. Pedialyte Sport. Pedialyte Sport carries medical credibility. The Pedialyte name alone makes people trust it blindly. But this version isn't the gentle rehydration formula used for illness. It's a high-sodium, high-mineral performance variant built for people losing electrolytes at extreme rates. And that's where things get tricky. Most people who drink Pedialyte Sport are not doing endurance races or heat exposure shifts. When your body isn't actually depleted, the elevated sodium and potassium combo can cause water retention, bloating, or that uncomfortable heavy stomach feeling during light exercise. Hydration specialists explain that medical-grade electrolyte concentrations must match the severity of dehydration, not casual gym sessions. Pedialyte Sport also includes artificial flavors and sweeteners that create a strangely medical candy aftertaste, which some people mistake for a sign of effectiveness. It's not. It's simply a formulation meant for dehydration emergencies, not everyday drinking. Number 29. Monster Hydro. Monster Hydro pretends to be the hydrating sibling of the Monster Energy family, with the same bold branding, same attitude, but without the cans and carbonation. Yet everything about it reads like a hybrid between a sports drink and an energy drink, and that confusion is the danger. Many flavors come with huge sugar loads, aggressive fruit acids, and, in some versions, added caffeine that doesn't belong anywhere near hydration. Sports physiologists warn that pairing stimulants with hydration beverages disrupts your body's natural fluid balance because caffeine increases urination while the sugar increases thirst. The result? A drink that feels hydrating for a moment, then leaves you more dehydrated than before. Even non-caffeinated hydro versions aren't innocent. They rely on energy-style flavoring, artificial compounds designed to create intensity, not wellness. With its oversized bottles and sugar-heavy formulas, Monster Hydro behaves more like a sweetened pre-energy drink than something meant for recovery. Number 28. Rockstar Recovery. Rockstar Recovery markets itself as the lighter, post-workout version of Rockstar Energy, with no carbonation, smoother flavor, and a softer hit. But the inside of the bottle tells a very different story. Many flavors combine high levels of caffeine with sugar substitutes and a cocktail of acidic stabilizers that give it that sharp, electric taste. Sports scientists warn that pairing caffeine with acidic, low-sugar beverages can cause gastric irritation, muscle twitchiness, and dehydration, especially if someone drinks it thinking it's a recovery beverage. The problem is psychological. People see the word recovery and assume it's built for replenishment, but the formulation resembles a downgraded energy drink, not a hydration tool. The acidity levels can be harsh on enamel, and the stimulant load elevates heart rate at a time when your body should be calming down post-exercise. Even the vitamins added to it are the same marketing vitamins found in standard energy drinks, flashy on the label, but offering little real benefit. Number 27. Rainstorm. Rainstorm tries to carve out a clean energy image with lighter flavors, sleek cans, and the promise of a gentler caffeine boost. But the drink is built around natural caffeine blends, fruit acids, and sweeteners that hit the body unpredictably, especially during or after workouts. The caffeine dose may not be as extreme as classic Rain cans, but it's still potent enough to interfere with hydration efficiency, since stimulants push the body into alert mode, increasing heart rate instead of recovery. The fruit acids, combined with the sweetener profile, can trigger stomach tightness or mild nausea when consumed during movement, something endurance coaches consistently warn athletes about. And because Rainstorm uses cleaner ingredient language, green tea extract, and plant-based caffeine, people assume it's safer to drink frequently, even if they're barely active. What you end up with is a drink that sits somewhere between an energy water and a flavored stimulant, without truly supporting hydration, electrolytes, or recovery. Number 26. Electrolyte. Electrolyte looks like a doctor-approved hydration formula, with bright medical colors, IV bag vibes, and a reputation built on rehydration science. But that image hides a drink designed originally for medical dehydration scenarios, not daily workouts or casual sipping. The electrolyte load, especially sodium and potassium, is far higher than most people need after a regular gym session. Hydration experts warn that consuming high-concentration electrolyte drinks without actual dehydration can lead to water retention, stomach heaviness, and electrolyte imbalance, the exact opposite of what casual drinkers expect. Electrolyte also contains sweeteners and flavor additives that create a syrup-like aftertaste, something many users mistake as strong medicine flavor, when in reality it's simply a stabilization mix. The biggest issue is context. Electrolyte is meant for recovery from severe fluid loss, not background hydration for people doing light exercise or errands. Paired with sugary versions, it pushes the body more than soda in certain conditions. Number 25. Hydrate. Hydrate looks like the kind of drink you'd pick up when you want something lighter than an energy drink but stronger than plain water, but the reality is way more awkward than that middle ground branding. Hydrate's issue isn't heavy sugar. It's the odd pairing of moderate caffeine with a sweetener profile that doesn't match hydration needs at all. Exercise physiologists often talk about perceived hydration, where a drink tastes refreshing but doesn't actually improve fluid balance. Hydrate fits that category perfectly. The caffeine gives a subtle buzz, enough to make your brain feel awake, while the sweeteners and fruit acids send mixed signals to the gut. Some athletes describe Hydrate as head awake, body not responding, because the drink creates mental stimulation without muscular benefit, a mismatch that can cause premature fatigue. And because the flavors are incredibly smooth, people sip them quickly, not realizing that caffeine can actually increase fluid loss, especially during warm weather workouts. It's the kind of drink that feels clever in the moment, but quietly works against you the longer you rely on it. Number 24. Bai. Bai is the type of drink that lives in the healthy aisle, with its clean fonts, coconut water whispers, and antioxidant marketing. But once you separate the branding from the bottle, the issue becomes something almost no one expects. The sweeteners used in Bai can change how your body interprets flavor and calorie expectations, a phenomenon documented in several metabolism studies. Bai relies on erythritol and stevia blends that create an unusually sharp sweetness curve, far sweeter than fruit, yet containing almost no calories. For some people, this can trigger false fullness, followed by rebound hunger, making them snack more shortly after drinking it. Bai also contains coffee fruit extract, which sounds natural, but behaves like a stimulant-light compound. It won't wake you up, but it can cause a slight jitteriness in hydration-sensitive individuals. And because Bai feels like a wellness drink, people often drink multiple bottles a day, stacking acidity and sweeteners in a way that leaves the mouth dry instead of refreshed. Number 23. Hoist. Hoist markets itself as IV-level hydration, which instantly makes people assume it's the most efficient sports drink on shelves. But Hoist's formula is literally designed for rapid gastric emptying, meaning it rushes through your stomach faster than typical beverages functional in intense military or endurance scenarios, but completely unnecessary for casual gym users. That ultra-fast absorption can actually create a strange imbalance. Your body pulls in the fluid too quickly, leading to a temporary heaviness, sudden coolness, or lightheaded dip as your blood volume adjusts. Hydration specialists warn that drinks with very low osmolality, like Hoist, need to be matched with heavy sweating conditions. Otherwise, they can create a hydration whiplash, where you feel hydrated one moment and oddly depleted the next. Add in Hoist's surprisingly high sodium content, and many casual drinkers end up feeling puffy, thirsty, or slightly sluggish afterward, especially if they're not sweating enough to justify that electrolyte load. Hoist hydrates fast, sometimes faster than your body actually wants, leaving you chasing balance instead of feeling refreshed. Number 22. Arizona RX Energy. Arizona RX Energy feels like a leftover from the early 2000s. A tall, shiny can with wild graphics that make it look like a comic book potion. But inside, the drink behaves like a confused mix of sweet tea, energy drink, and citrus soda, all fighting for space. Its biggest problem isn't just the sugar, which is already high. It's the combination of herbal stimulants and heavy sweetness, layered together without any real electrolyte structure. Ginseng, guarana, and caffeine strike the system in uneven waves, creating a slow rise, sudden drop pattern that leaves many people more tired than before. And, because it tastes like a sweet, smooth iced tea, people drink it faster than they would a typical energy drink, which intensifies the stimulant hit. Hydration experts often warn that mixing herbal boosters with tea-style sugars can cause energy confusion, where your body feels alert but physically drained at the same time. It's the kind of drink that promises strength but gives you a jittery, unfocused buzz that fades harder than soda ever would. Number 21. Fast Twitch. Fast Twitch looks like Gatorade's futuristic upgrade, with a slim bottle, electric colors, and a reputation for being performance-ready. But, unlike regular Gatorade, Fast Twitch isn't a hydration drink at all. It's a caffeine-loaded pre-workout liquid disguised in a sports bottle. Each serving carries a massive stimulant punch designed to shock your nervous system, not replenish it. For many athletes, caffeine that strong without meaningful carbs can cause circulation constriction, making muscles feel tighter instead of primed. And unlike powdered pre-workouts that people sip slowly, Fast Twitch is so smooth and fruity that people drink it in just a few seconds, meaning the caffeine hits almost instantly. Sports physiologists note that swift caffeine uptake can cause a heart rate jump followed by coordination dips. This combination makes early reps feel aggressive and later reps feel sluggish. And because it's a Gatorade product, younger athletes assume it's safe, not realizing it's basically a liquid shockwave for the nervous system. Number 20. Reload. Reload doesn't have the fame of Gatorade or Prime, but it shows up everywhere. Gas stations, small gyms, discount stores, looking like a simple, no-nonsense sports drink. But its formulation is old school in the worst way. Strong artificial dyes, stiff acidity, generic sweeteners, and electrolytes thrown together without balance. Sodium sits high, potassium sits low, and the sugar blend gives a sticky mouthfeel that lingers long after drinking. Hydration specialists emphasize that sports drinks must match the body's sweat ratio to be effective. Reload's ratio looks more like a cheap tropical punch than a performance formula. The acidity also creates a slow burn on enamel, something dental researchers note is even worse when drinks are sipped slowly during workouts. And because Reload feels budget-friendly, people often chug it like water during basic exercise, pushing their body into salt-heavy, sugar-light dehydration, the kind that makes you feel tired, dry-mouthed, and oddly thirsty minutes later. Number 19. Victory H2O. Victory H2O looks like the kind of drink that belongs in a college athlete's backpack. Matte label, bold font, performance attitude. But the inside of the bottle feels more like a slightly caffeinated vitamin water pretending to be a sports drink. The problem isn't extreme sugar or caffeine, it's the absence of anything that actually makes hydration effective. The electrolyte blend is so faint that it barely registers. Yet the drink uses flavor agents and mild sweeteners that create a fake, refreshed feeling. Sports hydration experts call this placebo hydration, where the mouth feels quenched but the bloodstream gets almost nothing useful. Victory H2O also relies on a cooling flavor profile, menthol-like notes used in some blends, which trick the brain into thinking the body is cooling down even when it's not. That can cause people to overexert, misjudge their hydration status, or ignore early fatigue signals. For a drink marketed around winning, its formula offers almost no physiological advantage. Number 18. Cryohydration. Cryohydration goes all in on the cold science aesthetic, icy graphics, frosted colors, and a name that makes you think of cryotherapy chambers and elite athlete recovery. But that frozen branding hides a formula that leans heavily on extreme cooling flavors and high-acid fruit bases, not actual electrolyte precision. Cryo uses cooling compounds that mimic a minty chilled effect, giving you the illusion of recovery by stimulating cold receptors in the mouth. Hydration researchers warn that these sensory tricks can make athletes underestimate core temperature, pushing them to work harder while still dehydrated. The acidity of cryohydration is also unusually sharp, the kind that can leave a metallic aftertaste and mild throat dryness, a red flag for any drink claiming to hydrate. And because cryo feels refreshing in the first few seconds, people often overlook how little sodium, potassium, or magnesium it actually contains. It's more of a sensory experience than a hydration tool. Number 17. Ghost hydration. Ghost hydration is flashy, stylish, and tailor-made for the influencer era, with vibrant flavors, gaming aesthetics, and a functional hydration label that makes it feel modern and innovative, but the formula is built around a stack of intense flavors, sweeteners, and rapid absorption acids, making it feel exciting to drink, but not actually optimal for replenishing what athletes lose. Ghost Hydration's most significant issue is its aggressively flavored profile, the kind usually designed for pre-workouts, not hydration. Intense flavor concentration can actually slow fluid intake because the taste becomes overwhelming the more you sip during exercise. Hydration specialists point out that flavor fatigue leads to people drinking less overall, even when they need fluid, and Ghost's electrolyte blend, while marketed as advanced, stays heavily sodium biased, missing the broader mineral support required for endurance. The drink feels fun, energetic, and punchy, but those qualities belong in gaming beverages and pre-workouts, not something your body depends on to recover. Number 16. Shasta Sports Drink. Shasta Sports Drink feels like one of those old-school, bargain shelf throwbacks you'd find in a convenience store cooler next to off-brand colas. The bright, candy-like colors make it look friendly and harmless, but inside the formula sits a cheap blend of heavy dyes, sharp acids, and low-grade sweeteners designed more for cost efficiency than actual hydration. Shasta's most significant issue is the flavor intensity, which is built like soda, not a sports drink. The sweetness rushes in fast, then collapses into a dry aftertaste that makes you even thirstier. Hydration specialists explain that drinks with intense, sticky sweetness tend to encourage overdrinking, followed by dehydration, because the body spends more water trying to process the acids and sugars than it receives from the drink itself. And unlike real performance drinks, Shasta offers almost no meaningful electrolyte support, just sugar, color, and water dressed up as sports. It's the kind of beverage that looks nostalgic but sets you up for headaches, fatigue, and that heavy, syrupy feeling in the stomach after a workout. Number 15. Big Win Sports Drink. Big Win Sports Drink tries to position itself as a simple, budget-friendly alternative to Gatorade, but the budget part is exactly where the problems begin. Its formulation relies on ultra-cheap artificial flavors, stiff acidity regulators, and a sugar profile that spikes fast but crashes even quicker. What makes Big Win different from big-name sports drinks isn't what's inside, it's what's missing. The electrolyte blend is shallow, mainly sodium with almost no potassium support, meaning it doesn't restore the minerals your body actually loses through sweat. Sports nutritionists often highlight that imbalance as a primary reason people experience weakness, mild dizziness, or an empty tiredness after drinking low-grade sports beverages. Big Win is also notorious for its chalky, lingering aftertaste, a sign of poor quality sweeteners interacting with acidic flavor bases. And because it's sold in pharmacies, people assume it's somewhat safe or controlled, even though it behaves almost identically to a cheap fruit punch. Number 14. Nice Sports Drink. Nice Sports Drink from Walgreens looks clean and unfussy, with bright colors, simple labels, and that pharmacy brand aura that makes people think it's a lighter version of real sports drinks. But the reality is a strange mix of low-tier sweeteners, thin electrolytes, and harsh citric acid levels that create a drink that tastes refreshing for 5 seconds and then leaves the mouth oddly dry. Hydration experts describe this as surface-level hydration. The tongue feels wet, but the body doesn't get the mineral or carbohydrate support needed to actually absorb fluid efficiently. The biggest flaw with Nice is the electrolyte ratio, which leans heavily towards sodium with almost no balancing minerals. That creates a subtle imbalance where the drink can trigger thirst rather than satisfying it, making people feel like they need to drink more even when hydration isn't improving. And because the drink feels light, people tend to chug it quickly, amplifying the dry throat effect. Number 13. Great Value Sports Drink. Great Value Sports Drink feels like the kind of bottle you grab at Walmart when you're in a hurry. Bright colors, low price, and the promise of hydration without the premium tag. But the drink behaves like a cost-cut version of mainstream sports formulas, built with shortcuts that show up the moment you start sweating. Its sweetness hits fast, but the flavor collapses into a flat, salty aftertaste that signals imbalanced electrolytes, specifically too much sodium and almost no meaningful potassium support. Hydration coaches explain that this imbalance slows the body's ability to move water into cells, creating that heavy, sloshy feeling in your stomach during workouts. The dyes and flavor chemicals also sit on the tongue longer, giving the illusion of refreshment while the bloodstream gets almost no performance benefit. Because it's cheap, people drink it more often and in larger amounts, which only stacks the acidity and artificial sweeteners. Number 12. Members Mark Sports Drink. Members Mark Sports Drink sells itself through quantity giant multi-packs, big bottles, and bulk value. But volume doesn't equal hydration, and this drink proves it. The formula leans heavily on industrial-grade sweeteners and dense citric acid, creating a flavor that feels refreshing at first but slowly numbs the palate. Sports nutritionists warn that drinks with overpowering acidity can make the stomach contract harder during movement, reducing fluid absorption and creating that uncomfortable sloshing and burning sensation mid-exercise. Members Mark also suffers from an outdated electrolyte model, primarily sodium, minimal potassium, and almost no magnesium, making it suited for neither endurance nor casual activity. Its sweetness is sticky, lingering much longer than necessary, which actually makes people sip less during long workouts because the taste becomes tiring. The drink is built for bulk sales, not biology. Number 11. Kirkland Sports Drink. Kirkland Sports Drink looks like the sensible, grown-up alternative to flashier sports beverages, with clean colors, straightforward branding, and that Costco aura of good quality for less. But behind the practicality is a formula that's too sugary for hydration and too light in minerals for recovery, landing it in an awkward middle zone where it doesn't excel at anything. The sugar concentration pushes the drink's osmolality higher than the body prefers during exercise, slowing down how quickly fluid enters the bloodstream. The result? You feel hydrated on the tongue, but your muscles lag. The flavor profile is also unusually syrupy, which endurance coaches say can create early taste fatigue, causing athletes to stop drinking before they've actually rehydrated enough. And while Kirkland lists electrolytes, the balance is simplistic. Sodium dominates, potassium barely shows up, and magnesium is practically absent. It's a drink that means well but doesn't perform where it matters. Number 10. Body Armor Edge. Body Armor Edge feels like the louder, more aggressive sibling of the regular Body Armor line. The bottle looks like it's built for explosive athletes. Bold graphics, glowing flavors, and that promise of boost plus hydration in one hit. But Edge doesn't behave like a hydration drink at all. It acts like a caffeinated, sugar-driven jolt disguised inside a sports bottle. With a high sugar load paired with a caffeine kick, Edge creates what performance coaches call a double spike. Sugar elevates your blood glucose rapidly, while caffeine tightens circulation, leading to a momentary burst followed by a drain that feels heavier than soda. The sweetness is also engineered to be intense and dessert-like, excellent for taste, terrible for steady hydration. That sweetness suppresses thirst cues, tricking you into thinking you've had enough fluid when your muscles are still dry. And because Body Armor is marketed as cleaner, people drink Edge casually, ignoring the fact that it functions closer to a pre-workout with fruit syrup energy. Number 9. Vitamin Fizz. Vitamin Fizz is the bubbly, sparkling outsider in the sports drink world, with bright cans, fruity flavors, and the promise of vitamins in every sip. But carbonation changes everything. When you add bubbles to a hydration drink, you create gas pressure in the stomach, which slows fluid flow into the small intestine, the exact opposite of what athletes need. Vitamin Fizz also contains a surprisingly sweet blend of sugars and fruit concentrates that behave more like a sparkling soda with vitamin dust sprinkled in, rather than an electrolyte tool. Digestive researchers note that carbonated beverages trick the stomach into feeling full and pressurized, leading people to drink less liquid overall, worsening dehydration during any physical activity. And because Vitamin Fizz markets itself as a healthy soda alternative, people sip it casually throughout the day, stacking sugar, acidity, and carbonation just like they would with soft drinks. Vitamin Fizz refreshes your tongue, then slows every hydration pathway behind it, making soda look predictable by comparison. Number 8. Roar Organic. Roar Organic comes wrapped in minimalist wellness influencer branding, soft colors, clean fonts, and coconut accents. Everything about the bottle whispers healthy. But not all Roar lines are equal, and the high sugar flavors tell a very different story. These versions pack 25 plus grams of sugar, hidden under the label of fruit juice blends, despite being marketed as a light hydration alternative. Electrolytes don't balance that sugar in a meaningful way either. Potassium sits high enough to cause bloating in non-athletes, while sodium stays too low for actual sweat replacement. The result is what sports dietitians call pseudo-hydration. The body gets sweetness and flavor, but not the mineral structure needed actually to move water into cells. Roar's organic ingredients may sound clean, but physiologically, they behave like designer fruit punch, not a structured sports drink. And because the bottle feels so wholesome, people drink it during low-activity days, stacking sugar spikes that defeat the whole organic health aesthetic. Number 7. A-Shock Hydration. A-Shock Hydration looks like the calm, cleaner cousin of the A-Shock Energy line. Soft colors, lighter branding, and a message that leans more toward athletic purity than intensity. But inside the bottle, the formula feels strangely hollow for something marketed toward performance. A-Shock Hydration uses a cocktail of flavor enhancers and sugar alternatives that create an artificially cold taste. This kind hits sharply at first and then leaves the mouth oddly empty afterward. Hydration scientists call this a sensory mismatch. Your mouth thinks you're refreshed, but your bloodstream gets almost nothing meaningful in return. A-Shock also leans on coconut water concentrates that sound healthy but deliver imbalanced potassium spikes when your sweat loss doesn't justify it. And because the drink tastes extremely smooth, athletes often sip more than they should, accidentally stacking potassium, which can leave them feeling heavy-legged or slightly tingly. Add in a mineral profile too weak for intense sweat loss and too engineered for everyday drinking, and you get a drink trapped in limbo. Number 6. Good Sport. Good Sport positions itself as the science-forward hydration drink, using milk-derived electrolytes and natural minerals to differentiate from sugary classics. But that dairy-based foundation creates problems the label doesn't hint at. When lactose fragments and milk electrolytes get processed into a clear beverage, they make a dense osmolality, meaning the drink moves through the stomach more slowly than most sports drinks. During workouts, slow gastric emptying leads to stomach tightness, sluggishness, and a heavy midsection feel that many athletes confuse with fatigue. The natural sugars in Good Sport sound wholesome, but they still behave like standard carbs, raising blood glucose quickly without providing the sodium balance needed to help water move efficiently into cells. Even hydration coaches point out that dairy electrolyte blends can be unpredictable, reacting differently depending on the person's gut tolerance. Number 5. Squincher Zero. Squincher Zero removes the sugar, but it keeps everything else that makes Squincher feel engineered for industrial job sites instead of regular hydration. The Zero version leans heavily on chemical-tasting sweeteners, sharp acidity regulators, and intense artificial flavors designed to survive high temperatures and long storage conditions warehouse workers face, not weekend joggers. Without sugar, the acidity and flavor chemicals become even more noticeable, creating a dry throat effect that pushes people to drink more without actually helping hydration improve. And because Squincher Zero uses a sodium-first electrolyte strategy, the drink only benefits people who are sweating heavily for long hours. Anyone else ends up with a salty buildup in the bloodstream, something hydration experts say can worsen mild dehydration instead of treating it. The Zero formula tastes cleaner on paper but performs strangely in the body, stimulating thirst while delivering very little accurate replenishment. Number 4. HydraFuel. HydraFuel sounds like the kind of drink you'd grab before a long run. The name alone feels engineered, like something built in a lab for elite athletes. But once you start sipping it, the drink reveals its real identity. A hyper-flavored, artificially cooled, electrolyte-light beverage that focuses more on sensory tricks than actual performance. HydraFuel uses cooling esters and sharp citrus acids that make your mouth feel instantly refreshed, even if your muscles aren't absorbing water efficiently. Hydration specialists call this false chill hydration. Your mouth senses a refreshing blast, but your body isn't receiving minerals in the ratios needed to move fluid into cells. The drink's electrolyte blend is extremely superficial, leaning on sodium without meaningful potassium or magnesium, which creates that fresh for a minute, tired right after feeling people experience mid-workout. And because the flavor intensity is high, you end up drinking less during longer activities, making dehydration creep in quietly. Number 3. All Sport Zero. All Sport Zero removes the sugar but keeps the acid-heavy, dye-loaded, chemically intense backbone of the original. Without sugar to mask the taste, the drink becomes even more aggressive. A punch of citric acid, artificial sweeteners, and synthetic flavors that sit like a chemical film on the tongue. Hydration researchers often warn that zero-calorie sports drinks with high acidity can slow the body's fluid absorption because the stomach reacts to the harsh acids with minor contractions, delaying gastric emptying. That's why All Sport Zero often feels sharp going down and oddly drying a few minutes later. The electrolyte profile doesn't help either. It's extremely sodium-forward, created for sweat-heavy conditions that typical gym-goers never face. This imbalance leads to a sensation hydration coaches call dry sodium thirst, where your brain keeps telling you to drink while your hydration actually stalls. All Sport Zero is marketed as a more innovative, lighter alternative, but what you actually get is a chemical-forward drink that lacks both sugar and effective mineral structure. Number 2. Super Sport Drink. Super Sport Drink tries hard to look like a high-performance powerhouse, with muscular branding, bold colors, labels that shout power, boost, and performance. But the formula tells a totally different story. Super Sport relies on a cheap carbohydrate base that dumps sugar into the bloodstream quickly without providing the balanced blend needed for endurance or recovery. The sweetness profile is syrupy, and the acidity is tuned to mimic soda-like sharpness rather than athletic usability. This creates what sports nutritionists call empty energy hydration. You get a quick rush, followed by a hollow slump where hydration and energy both drop at the same time. The electrolyte blend also feels dated low in potassium, lacking magnesium entirely, and offering sodium levels that don't match real sweat loss. For casual drinkers, this combination causes sluggishness and dry mouth minutes after finishing the bottle. For active users, it delivers no real performance benefit. It's drinking-flavored glucose with marketing muscles flexed on the label. Number 1. Maximus Sports Drink. Maximus Sports Drink looks oversized, overbuilt, and overconfident, with a giant bottle, thick flavors, and branding that screams more is better. But in hydration, more is rarely better. Maximus loads its drink with high sugar, stiff acidity, and an exaggerated electrolyte profile that feels more like a parody of sports drinks than something grounded in physiology. The sodium levels are inflated, the potassium is erratic, and the sweetness is so dense it lingers long after swallowing. Hydration experts explain that drinks with oversized sugar and salt combos can trigger osmotic backfire, where the fluid pulls water out of the body instead of pushing it in. That's why Maximus can leave people feeling thirsty, heavy, and weirdly fatigued minutes after drinking it. The flavoring is also thick, almost syrup-like, making long-term sipping uncomfortable during extended workouts. Maximus sells size and swagger, but the inside is nothing more than an oversized, off-balance sports soda pretending to be advanced. But don't worry, it's not all bad news. Not every sports drink is loaded with sugar, dyes, and chemical additives. Some brands are actually clean, balanced, and way better for hydration than soda. They might not taste like candy, but they're the ones you can drink without guilt, starting with Number 10. LMNT. LMNT is one of the rare sports hydration mixes built with athletic honesty, no sugar, no fillers, no artificial colors, and no fake performance boosts. It focuses on the one thing endurance athletes actually lose during sweat-heavy sessions: electrolytes, especially sodium. But what sets LMNT apart isn't just the ingredients, it's the clarity of its formula. Instead of chasing trendy flavors or wellness buzzwords, LMNT delivers a mineral profile that matches what long-distance runners, HIIT athletes, and sauna users genuinely need. Sports medicine researchers consistently note that low-sugar, high-sodium electrolytes can improve fluid retention, muscle firing efficiency, and post-workout recovery more reliably than sweet sports drinks. There's no acidity burn, no sticky aftertaste, and no artificial cooling agents to trick the senses. The drink tastes bold because the minerals are real and the simplicity is intentional. Number 9. Liquid IV. Liquid IV built its reputation around cellular transport technology, a hydration approach that uses specific sugar-sodium ratios to help water move faster through the gut into the bloodstream. The formula uses real minerals and controlled glucose levels, not syrupy sweetness, to mimic the absorption principles used in medical oral rehydration. This is why Liquid IV feels genuinely effective during travel, heat exposure, long work shifts, or moderate workouts. Nutrition experts explain that the right amount of glucose, not too much, not too little, can help accelerate hydration without causing the heavy, slow feeling common in sugary sports drinks. And the sodium-potassium balance in Liquid IV supports actual fluid transfer, not just flavored refreshment. The clean ingredients, fruit-derived flavors, and absence of artificial dyes make it a safe choice for families, travelers, and athletes who dislike chemical-heavy sports beverages. It's one of the few mainstream hydration mixes that actually behaves like real hydration science instead of marketing. Number 8. Nuun Sport. New Unsport takes a totally different route from other hydration drinks. Instead of sweet syrup or intense flavoring, New One uses dissolvable electrolyte tablets that create a clean, lightly flavored drink without overwhelming the palate. The formula is intentionally low in sugar to keep osmolality balanced, allowing water to absorb smoothly without spiking blood glucose. Exercise physiologists appreciate New One because its electrolyte structure mirrors real sweat composition, especially the sodium-potassium ratio that supports nerve function and muscle contraction. And because the flavor is subtle, athletes instinctively drink more water overall, avoiding the taste fatigue people experience with sugary sports drinks. New One also avoids artificial colors and harsh acids, making it gentler on teeth and stomachs, something many endurance athletes rely on during long training sessions. Number 7. Ultima Replenisher. Ultima Replenisher is one of the cleanest hydration mixes on the market, the kind of drink you choose when you want minerals without sacrificing purity. What makes Ultima different isn't just what it includes, but what it refuses to use. No sugar, no artificial flavors, no dyes, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives. Instead, it relies on a full-spectrum mineral blend sourced from natural electrolytes that actually mirror what the body uses during activity. Nutrition specialists highlight Ultima's balance of magnesium, potassium, and chloride, minerals that many sports drinks ignore. This gives Ultima a calming, steady hydration effect, not the jolting sweetness or false cold shock you get from commercial brands. Its flavors come from natural fruit extracts, making it gentle on the stomach and friendly for people with sensitive digestion. And because it's zero sugar, it works perfectly for everyday hydration, light workouts, and long-duration activity where sweetness would become overwhelming. Number 6. Honey Stinger Hydration. Honey Stinger built its reputation on the natural fuel endurance athletes already trust, honey. Their hydration line applies the same philosophy, using gentle carbohydrates and real electrolytes to support long-duration energy without overwhelming the stomach. Unlike sugary sports drinks, Honey Stinger uses small-chain carbs that digest steadily, helping maintain energy without causing spikes. Exercise physiologists appreciate how honey-based glucose and fructose blends fuel muscles more efficiently during slow or moderate endurance work. The electrolyte profile is balanced, not sodium-heavy, supporting smoother fluid movement rather than aggressive salt loading. What makes Honey Stinger especially unique is its naturally soft flavor, which avoids taste fatigue during long training sessions, something runners and cyclists love. There are no harsh dyes, no chemical acids, no artificial sweeteners, and the drink feels more like a clean, functional fuel than a beverage trying to imitate soda. Number 5. Scratch Labs. Scratch Labs was created by real sports scientists who wanted a hydration mix that actually reflected what athletes lose during training. Their formula is intentionally minimalist. Real fruit for flavor, balanced electrolytes, and a small but functional amount of cane sugar to help absorption. This is not candy-level sweetness. It's engineered to match the body's hydration pathways without overwhelming the stomach. One of Scratch's biggest strengths is how gentle it feels during high-intensity exercise. The drink avoids dyes, heavy acids, and artificial compounds, making it easy on the gut, a significant benefit for runners, cyclists, and triathletes who often struggle with gastric upset from commercial sports drinks. The flavor is natural and not overpowering, encouraging athletes to keep sipping over long distances. Sports coaches frequently recommend it because its sodium-to-carb ratio supports consistent hydration without causing bloating or sugar crashes. Number 4. Drip Drop ORS. Drip Drop is one of the closest consumer products to medical-grade hydration. It uses a World Health Organization-inspired ORS formula designed not for casual hydration, but for real fluid loss, heat exposure, intense exercise, illness, and dehydration emergencies. The key is its precise balance of glucose and electrolytes. Just enough sugar to activate sodium-glucose transport channels, but not so much that it slows gastric emptying. This allows water to move quickly into the bloodstream, something traditional sports drinks cannot match. Doctors often praise ORS formulas for being significantly more effective than sugary sports beverages, especially when rapid recovery is needed. Drip Drop's flavors use natural ingredients without dyes or chemical acids, making it safe for sensitive stomachs. And unlike typical sports drinks, Drip Drop's potassium and sodium are clinically balanced, not randomly mixed. Number 3. Cure Hydration. Cure Hydration stands out because it brings hydration back to its simplest, most natural core, Instead of relying on processed sugar or artificial ingredients, Cure uses organic coconut water powder paired with carefully measured electrolytes to match the body's natural hydration chemistry. This creates a gentle, stomach-friendly rehydration curve, not the heavy sweetness of commercial drinks. Cure follows the WHO-backed oral rehydration principle. Proper sodium levels paired with just enough natural carbohydrates to activate absorption without overwhelming the gut. What makes Cure so effective is its clean mineral sourcing, avoiding synthetic dyes, chemical acids, or artificial sweeteners entirely. Many endurance athletes and travelers love Cure for the way it reduces cramps, restores clarity, and softens fatigue without causing the bloated feeling that comes from sugary sports drinks. The taste is subtle and clean, encouraging consistent sipping rather than the big gulps caused by intense flavors. Number 2. Hydrate. Hydrate is engineered with a scientific simplicity that makes it one of the most trustworthy hydration mixes available. The formula uses a slightly higher sodium concentration than typical wellness drinks, paired with balanced potassium, magnesium, and zinc. This combination closely mirrors the body's natural electrolyte ratios during sweating. Its small amount of cane sugar is intentional, not decorative. It activates sodium-glucose transport, helping water enter the bloodstream rapidly without turning the drink into flavored syrup. Hydrate also avoids artificial dyes, heavy acids, and synthetic sweeteners, keeping the flavor crisp, light, and easy to drink over long periods. Exercise physiologists appreciate Hydrate for its fast absorption curve, especially before training sessions, travel, hot weather, or recovery. People with sensitive stomachs often prefer it because it doesn't create the metallic aftertaste or throat dryness common in the chemical-heavy drinks. Number 1. SOS Hydration. SOS Hydration is the closest you can get to true clinical-grade hydration in a consumer product. Created by medical professionals and endurance athletes, SOS follows a strict ORS-inspired formula that matches the World Health Organization's hydration science but adapts it for everyday use. It uses the ideal balance of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and a small, functional amount of glucose, just enough to accelerate absorption, but not enough to spike blood sugar. Studies show ORS-style drinks hydrate up to 3x faster than standard sports beverages, and SOS is one of the cleanest executions of that science. The flavor is light, never syrupy, allowing athletes and travelers to sip steadily without fatigue. There are no artificial dyes, no chemical sweeteners, no heavy acids, just a clean, medically informed formula that restores fluid balance quickly and safely. Whether it's for marathon training, heat exposure, or everyday dehydration, SOS delivers efficiency without compromise.